Okay, hello again. We're going to do things a bit different this time. I've been playing this game for about 20 hours or so off camera. You really don't want to sit through all of this stuff, so what I did was I just collected a few clips of some of the highlights of what happened over this period of time. Seriously, you did not miss much. You will know the difference between when I am transitioning to a new clip and when the game is, because when the game does it, the screen just goes black for a few seconds. It makes it look like the video feed dropped out like that, whereas I'm going to do little flippy wipe things. Anyway, first off, here's the shop, okay? Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to point out about the store, besides the fact that I have never used it over the whole game. First, we've got this weird little thing with the weapons for the main character. I'm going to get back to this in a second, actually. I believe. It's part of the problem. This is I did record all the video like 2 days ago, and I'm a little hazy on what it was. But, yeah, here's some of the weapons that are available. And for most characters, it's pretty standard. Later weapons cost more, have better stats. But not always. For the main character here, for example, we got this first sword, which gives us plus 200 attack power, plus 100 magic attack power, and costs, I think this is 750. And then we have one that costs a couple hundred more, and has attack power of 100, magic attack power of 0. I assume there would have to be some other quality on this weapon that makes it better in some way, given the price, in a game that didn't suck. Here, it might just suck. Either way, I have much better than either of them just finding it in a dungeon, just before I came in here. The other thing with the shop, which I may have pointed out there, is I thought you had 4 equipment slots. Turns out that's not the case. You have a weapon, you have a little bracelet for defense, then you have an accessory and costume, which are apparently strictly cosmetic for everyone, and yet you still, as you level up, unlock more and more colors of bows to put people's hair and stuff like that, just to make your creepy little anime waifu look exactly the way you want them. It's that kind of game, people. Anyway, yeah, here's some plot. Like I said, I played about 20 hours when you weren't looking. The plan was I was going to sit down and play the game until I hit either some actual plot development, a new character in my party, or a new boss fight. And it took me like 15 hours to get to any of those, which is pretty sad. I still haven't had any new plot points. I mean, right here we've got this little nothing conversation, and it looks like in PlayStation Land there's this actual plot thread where you have to help this silhouette NPC here get ready for, I guess, the Tokyo Game Show or whatever. And you would think that, you know, there'd be some kind of progression where you help her out with stuff, and eventually you get to a point where, you know, you have to go into some dungeon to do something, and come back, and fight a boss, and whatever, and you get to the end of this little plot line, and then you move on to something else. No. There are, like, 6 conversations with this lady. New ones don't show up until you wander into a dungeon, but the dungeon has nothing to do with anything. There's no resolution to any of this, it just kind of trails off. It doesn't connect into anything else, it's just a string of talking to this person that is required to complete the game. There's a lot of stuff like that. This is one of the better ones, this little discussion about evil corporations that goes nowhere. And, you know, again, they're so wordy with all this stuff. At some point in here, I'm going to just give you a quick little rundown of the conversation list that you've missed. Not playing through them, obviously, but just to give you some idea.
I'm sorry, but can you explain?
But, yeah, the other thing, which I'm going to show off later on, is, a lot of it seems like they designed this, all these conversations to go into an actual RPG. Oh, here's another thing, yeah, I would say maybe like half of the attempts at humor in this game are breaking the fourth wall, talking about how this is an RPG. People talk about bosses being low level. People talk about how much experience they're getting for things. People talk about NPCs being these little silhouettes and you can spot them easily. You know, some of these might be funny, except that half of them are only true for this piece of garbage game here. Like NPCs not having faces and just being black silhouettes. Other games don't do that. Other games will just have the NPCs. They're characters. What the hell? They have names and everything. Or if they don't have names, they at least have a little sprite. This old school game when everybody has one. They recycle these too. I mean, this is the generic woman NPC sprite. I've seen it or little silhouette, I should say. I've seen it on a ton of characters over the course of the game. The only people who seem to get actual images are characters in your party, characters who will be in your party if you buy DLC. We'll get to that in a second. And I suppose it's the last boss, the little goth lady I fought early on is the first actual boss in the game. And fun fact, apparently her name is R4, which is a reference to some kind of game pirating device, which ultimately is what the plot of this game comes down to. It's just, 50 hours of boob jokes, and then a heavy painted message not to pirate games. What am I doing here? Let's see. Again, it's hard to remember what I did together. Oh, here we go.
Why are we working for Avenir?
Yeah, this is an example I was saying about building this around an RPG, okay? We have this little initial setup here, where we are talking about how we're going to go on some little quest and fight some monsters. Now, I did not edit this in any way. This is exactly how it appears in the game. I really didn't know what to save just to show you this. But we have this initial setup, where some NPC shows up, hey, there's some monsters over there, you need to kill them, go kill them. And then everybody says, okay. And then it's going to fade to black, and what you would think would happen there is, there's a dungeon where you go through and fight a bunch of monsters. But there isn't a dungeon. It just comes back from being faded to black and says, oh no, now there's a boss. We gotta go fight that boss over there. And it fades to black again. And it comes back after fading to black, and it's like, okay, we killed that boss. And it really does seem like, at some point in the development of this game, there was supposed to be some gameplay in there. Like, they made all the cutscenes in advance, and the plan was that another team was going to come through, and they'd have little, cues where it fades to black here for where they're going to put the actual game in. And they would set up the next plot trigger, and you'd go back to the next cutscene, flow on like that. And as far as I can tell what happened, yeah, here we go. Fading to black. I'm talking about fighting monsters. And, now we're talking about the aftermath of it.
I don't see any more monsters.
But, the thing with this is, as far as I can tell, the team that was in charge of writing the gameplay, they sat down, they took a look at what they had for a plot here, and they all just ran screaming from the hills. Being too lazy to, hire someone with the fortitude to sit through all this and, add gameplay. They just took what little work they did on the combat engine, which is clearly unfinished because it's such an unbalanced, broken piece of garbage. And they didn't even bother to, just throw in filler dungeons in where there should be one. They're all off on the side. It's like you talk for a while, and as you talk, it adds... they're basically all optional, too. Optional little side quests where you can go into the Explore menu, go into a dungeon and either just walk to the end of it, kill a boss, or kill, 5 or 10 of a certain kind of monster. Those are the conditions all the time, too. And the thing is, it never has any sort of plot relevance. It's always its own detached little thing. 90% of them are optional. The 10% that aren't, still feel optional. you know, like this. This one, I believe, is like a fairly plot-relevant conversation, believe it or not. We talk about all this monster stuff. No, this one's actually just on the side. Talking to the lady about the whole preparing for the Tokyo Game Show thing. That's plot-based. So you talk to her for a while, and then you go into a cave, and you kill 5 bunny rabbits. And then you come back and you talk to her again. Did she need 5 bunny rabbits killed? No. It was just, you know, to space out the conversations. And usually they don't even do that. Usually, to move the plot forward, there's just like 12 conversations in a row that pop up, and you'd have to sit there and just go through all of them with no actual gameplay breaking them up. You get breaks to like go back out to the menu and save it if you want to, or wander off and do an optional dungeon to, you know, spare your sanity, but that's about it. But yeah, you missed me going to it. This is the PlayStation continent here. It looks just like the Sega system one, except, you know, grungier, because they like steampunk. And you can see one of the other ones in the background, too, over there. Yeah, the thing with the continents is, it's not one of those systems that isn't really implemented. You go through these short little caves. I'm going to show one eventually in here. To get to another one, it plays a little music. Oh, real quick, these two. Yeah, Gust and Nisa, or Nippon Ichi Software America, if you prefer. These are the sort of characters that sort of join your party. For each of them, there's like 20 conversations you have to sit through, scattered around all 4 continents. So it's just, you know, listen to people talk, wander around, listen to people talk, wander around, listen to people talk, wander around. I don't think there's any actual gameplay involved in getting them. And what happens is they join your party, officially. When you go to the status screen, you see them right there, the other characters. You can look at their stats, you can look at their equipment. They can't fight or do anything or change their equipment. What the deal is there is you have to go buy DLC, little passes, for each of them individually to turn them into playable characters. Playable characters who suck. I'm told anyway from people who've bothered to do this. That, by the way, is something I am not willing to do here. I don't care how much you're willing to pay me. I will not pay for DLC for this game. If I do that, money will go into the hands of the people responsible for it, and my conscience will not allow that to happen. Again, I got this game for less than free from someone who themselves bought it on a dare. And I hope they bought it used, or in a bargain bin, because really, money should not go to this in any way, shape, or form.
Doesn't look like any weaponry from last station.
But, yeah. The characters there, you know, if you pay for them, they suck. If you don't pay for them, they are just a blatant advertisement for DLC. But they are a blatant advertisement for DLC, which also has important gameplay stuff built into it. I think I mentioned this before. But Gust there, when you have it in your party, all items have a 30% discount on them for the rest of the game. And Nisa there, when you have her in your party, I'll have to show it to you at some point in this video, but there's these little bars on the side of when you're selecting a mission in 5 colors. That's a really important game mechanic. I think I actually explained it in an earlier video. The idea is there's the 4 goddesses of each game company. Between them, there is the market share of the video game industry. Every time you go into a dungeon, it swipes one from one of them and gives them another one. And for late-game important plot stuff, you have to bring somebody up really high on their percentage, which you can only do by, you know, following what it says in the chart. It indicates what's going to be after you get out of the dungeon. But the other thing is, you will permanently lose points from the system every time you die or leave a dungeon without finishing the objective. And this is... Actually, none of this is ever explained anywhere, even after you get the character responsible in your party. It just silently adds little bars there, and you figure it out.